Hello my babies, I am your teacher Marv and welcome to our science class. So how are you today? Are you doing well? Yes, to show me that you're all fine, kindly give me a very loud barangay clap. Yes, very good everyone. I see that everybody are lively and kicking. So now, let's proceed to our new lesson for today. Our lesson is all about ecosystem, tropical rainforest, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. Do you have any idea about this? Okie dokie, let's talk about it throughout our session. So our objectives is at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to discuss the interaction that takes place in tropical rainforest, coral reefs, and mangroves for the survival among living and non-living things. And of course, explain the importance of protecting and conserving the tropical rainforest, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. So, for anything else, I have prepared here our activity for this morning. So, instruction is you group yourselves according to the habitats of those pictures of organism that I distributed. You'll have 5 minutes to discuss with your group how does those organisms interact with each other. Choose one representative from the group to discuss what have been tackled within your group. And of course, don't forget to list down the names of the members of your group. Okay, your time starts now. Okay, good job everyone. Each group did well for today's activity, so give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, by this time, you guys must be more attentive and cooperative because for our next group activity, I will read to you the instruction. You group yourselves into 3. You predict and determine possible components of a regular plant pot in our landscape. List and classify each component. Select one representative from the group to explain how does these components interact with each other. So, remember that you guys have 10 minutes to do the task. And for those who come beyond the border, the groups that very naughty and loud, and for those who cannot go back in time, will be disqualified and marked as 0. So remember to work in active but in a proper way. Your time starts now. Yes, thank you for your presentation. All the groups presented a good prediction and I observed that you guys show cooperation and teamwork. And of course, by this time also, I want you to move on from that activity and listen to our discussion for today. So, ecosystem. What is ecosystem? But first, what have you seen in the picture? Yes. Okay, the sun, the trees, the plants, the animals, yes, of course. The duck, the frog, the fishes, the plants, yes, very good. The rocks, and many more. Yes, all of you have seen it, right? So what really is an ecosystem? So is an ecosystem is any place where living things live while continuously interacting with other living and non-living components. The living components of an ecosystem are called biotic factor, which means bios as life, while the non-living components are called abiotic factor, and of course also a bios as meaning no life. And a part of an ecosystem where the living things live is called the habitat. And yes, so the ecosystem is the geographic area where the plants, animals, and other organisms, as well as the weather and the landscapes, are working together to form a bubble of life. Okay, ecosystem contains the living and the non-living things, which is the bias and the abias factor, and that works together. And of course, always remember that the living things are those who had life, and the non-living things are the ones that lives in a certain place but does not have any life. So we have here the biotic factors. Yes, we have here the plants, animals, and the microorganisms. While the rainfall, temperature, day and night, water, substrate, nutrients, oxygen, and carbon dioxide are belongs to the abiotic factors. Yes, we have here the example of the biotic factor. Yes, we have here the tree, the cactus, the bird, the camel, the shark, the lion, yes, the mushroom, insects, worm, and etc. Which are the biotic factors are the living components of an ecosystem and their activities. And we have here also the wind, the sunlight, the soil, the temperature, the atmosphere, and the water, which are the abiotic factors. These are the non-living components of the ecosystem. Yes, next we have here the tropical rainforest biome. Yes, what is tropical rainforest biome? The tropical rainforests are woodlands composed mostly of all trees and extensive foliage cover. They are regions with year-round warm and abundant rainfall and occupy 6 to 7% of Earth's surface. They produce a large percentage of the Earth's needed oxygen, and the rainforests are also estimated to house more of the world's plant and animals species, most of them still undiscovered. So, within our ecosystem, what have you seen? Again in the picture. Of course, you found there the wild animals and the wild plants. So in our tropical rainforest biome is likely to be mountain forest or the dry land. Have you ever seen a forest? Yes, I'm sure everyone already saw a forest. So what do we found in the forest? Again, the wild animals like the snakes, the lions. What else? Yes, very good. Yes, we found here several wild animals and plants, and the tropical rainforest is the home of more than half of the world's plants and animal species. So the tropical rainforest is the biggest source of oxygen needed in the earth. So try to breathe. Children, let's try to breathe. So inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so the fresh air that we able to breathe a while ago, was provided by the tropical rainforest, specifically by the use of the trees. Yes. Next, we have here the 4 layers of a rainforest. We have the emergent layer, the canopy, the understory, and the forest floor. Okay, in the emergent layer, most animals that are flying the sky and perch into trees, like the birds, bats, and butterflies. And these are found. The emergent layer is found in the top of the tallest trees. So we have here the next, the canopy layer. It is the layer that you can find in the top of the shorter trees. So you can find animals such as toucans and monkeys. So these are the animals that swing from one branches of a tree into another. So we have the understory, and also the understory is on the lower branches of the trees. And we find here the snakes, the red-eyed tree frogs, and other animals. So we have here the last, which is the forest floor. It is in the dark area of the forest, which the animals such as the jaguars and many more found in here. Yeah, so next we have here the coral reefs biome. So what is a coral reef biome? Coral reef biome. They are formed out of fragments of coral sands, and solid limestones found slightly below the sea level. It is often called the rainforest of the sea. Coral reefs are home to a spectacular variety of organisms. They are not only made of hard and soft coral, but also sponges, crustacean jellyfishes, sea anemones, mollusks, sea turtles, reefs, sharks, dolphins, various fishes, and much more. They are provided home for marine animals, which makes marine food chains active and continuous. So, the coral reef is also known as rainforest, but of course, like from the tropical, the coral reef is more on a wetty land. So the plants and animals that we found in the coral reefs are the ones who lived and survived in the sea water. So the coral reefs is the house of the marine life, which makes marine food chains continually animated. Are you have been into beaches? Probably yes. So have you ever see or ate a fish? Yes, of course, yes, also. So maybe some of you that was their everyday dishes, most especially those who are living nearby the sea. So those fishes we eat were a habitat in the coral reefs that supplies most of our everyday dishes. So we have here the three types of coral reefs: the fringing reef, the barrier reefs, and the atolls. So the fringing reefs are visible to the shore, separated from the land by the water. So the fringing reef is the most common type of reef that we see. It grows near the coastline, around the islands and continents, and it is separated from the shore by a narrow and shallow lagoons. Next, we have the barrier reefs, located further from the shore and are separated from land by lagoons, which is about 10 meter or 30 feet deep. So, the barrier reef is also parallel to the coastline, but are separated by deep and the wider lagoons. They can reach the water surface, forming a barrier to navigation at their shallow point. And the last one, we have the atolls, which also found offshore, having a ring-shaped reef enclosing a circular lagoon. Atolls usually located at the middle of the sea and usually form when islands surrounded by the fringing reef sink into the sea, or the sea level are often tops of the underwater. Next, we have the mangrove swamps biome. And also, what is the mangrove swamp biome? Mangrove are trees that grow along the coast. It is usually found in the shallow waters along the mouths of bays, lagoons, and river. It can tolerate salty water because the roots can filter out the salts before absorbing water into the plant. Mangrove roots forms a breeding grounds or nurseries for many fishes and marine organisms. The intertwined roots protect the larvae and young animal from predator and act as a home-rich communities for marine invertebrates and algae. Okay, class, have you ever been into a mangrove? Yes, some have been there and some isn't. So this time, The example, these are the view of the mangrove swamps. Yes, so as you can see, it is plants that were growing in the water from which their roots are visible. The water substance in the mangrove is a mixture of the salty and the insipid water because it is found in the cross border of the sea and the water. Yes. So we have here, mangroves protects the shoreline from waves, action, and trap sediments. They act as a filter and a freshwater buffer. They are an important nursery ground for lots of animals. Mangroves has aerial roots that allow them to breathe even when tide is high. They have complex support roots to anchor the tree in the soft mud. They can limit salt absorption through the roots, let go of salt through their leaves, or store salt within them. So the mangrove roots form breeding grounds or nurseries for many fishes and organisms and serves as a protecting place for those little species to survive. Yes. For our next group activity, you stay at your present group and each group has an assigned task to complete. Okay, for group 1, we have here save the forest. Focus on the word trees. You create a sentence showing help in saving the rainforest, beginning from the given letter, such as letter T, letter R, letter E again, and the letter S. And for the group 2, you have to list 10 ways to help save coral reefs. And of course, you briefly explain each ways that you have listed. And for the group 3, it's the poster making. You draw an illustration that shows helping protect the mangroves and also write a short summary to explain your work. You have 15 minutes to finish the task. Later on, finish or unfinish, you will pass your work. So, your time starts. Okay, class, your time is up. I had already extended your time and I guess that your tasks are well done. So, by this time, I'm gonna collect the output of everyone of each groups. So, in the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. So I have here the output of the group 2, the group 1, and the group 3. Okay, everyone settle down. Yes, why do we need to protect and conserve the tropical rainforests, coral reef, and mangrove swamps? So our tropical rainforests are often called the lungs of the planet, for their role is absorbing carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, and increasing local humidity. Its stabilized climate house incredible amounts of plants and wildlife and produce nourishing rainfall all around the planet. They make such much of oxygen humans and animals depends on. So the tropical rainforest is where we get the oxygen we need for our everyday living, for our everyday breathing. So when the tropical rainforest will be taken for granted, not attended so good, and of course when it was distracted, meaning the lungs of our planet might be ill and it will be greatly affect the whole body, which is including us. So the environment and energy will be decreasing and unbalanced, which will cause a climate change and unstable living. We might experience supreme hotness, flash floods, and landslide, and even hunger, because the source of living, which is the tropical rainforest, is slowly destroyed, and dying. So what we can do to help save the rainforest? It is to stop the deforestation, stop the illegal logging, stop mining, and stop other dangerous activities that will kill the planet. And most especially, we have to plant trees today in order to have it grow tomorrow and make it a breathtaking home earth again. Save the rainforest. Teach others about the importance of all the environment and how they can help save rainforest. Restore damaged ecosystem by planting trees on land where forests have been cut down. Encourage people to live in a way that doesn't hurt the environment. Establish part to protect rainforest and wildlife. Support components that operate in ways that minimize damage to the environment. Help save the rainforest, just focus on trees. Teach for the letter T, R for restore, encourage for the letter E, establish for another letter E, and of course support for the letter S. Why we have to protect and conserve the coral reefs. Coral reefs are a source of food for millions. It protects coastline from storms and erosion, provide habitat, spawning, and nursery grounds for economically important fish species. It provides jobs and an income to local economies from fishing, recreation, and tourism, a source of new medicines. So we have to protect the coral reefs because it is one great source of our economy. It is the foundation of the fisherman's livelihood. It provides food for us, for the million of people around the world. What we need to do is to not get those corals away from the sea just to make it display in the aquariums of such luxury home, because those are not belongings to an expensive collection of rich people, but it is rather a precious creation of nature that houses 1,000 millions of marine species, which also help us as human beings to survive in this world. Next, we have here the 10 ways to help save coral reefs. First, conserve water. Second, reduce pollution. Third, use organic fertilizer. Fourth, dispose of your trash properly. Next, for the fifth, support a reef-friendly business. Sixth, plant a tree. 7. Dive a snorkel responsibly. 8. Volunteer for a cleanup drive. 9. Contact the government. And of course, spread the word, which is to help conserve and protect our coral reefs. Next, we have to protect and conserve our mangrove swamps because these are the home to a large variety of fish, crab, shrimp, and mollusk species. These fisheries form an essential source of food for thousands of coastal communities around the world. It helps stabilize the coastline and prevents erosion from waves and storms. It provides essential habitats for thousands of species. Yes, the mangroves also have to be protected and to be conserved because it says it all. Mangroves are home to a huge family of fishes, crabs, the shrimps, the mollusks, and other many more species. So we have to preserve and conserve it because this mangrove is also the house that fully supports the essential needs of the earth and specifically to all the people around it. Yes. So to help protect the mangroves, we have to plant mangrove tree and stop the destruction of our mangrove and the animals that inhabit them. By protecting trees, you are protecting your family, your food, and your health and your wealth. Yes. So that's all for protecting and conserving our ecosystems. And now, you will write an essay which will express us your thoughts and ideas about the following questions. So, your words will be in a minimum of 100 words in each item. And for our short quiz for today, I will read the question twice and you will choose the letter of the correct answer and write it in a clean 1/4 sheet of paper. Okay, I will read twice the question and you will answer. The community of organisms that lived in a particular area along with the non-living surroundings as well. First question, the community of organisms that live in a particular area along with the non-living surroundings as well. A. Abiotic factor. B. Biotic factor. C. Ecosystem. And letter D. Population. Number 2. Abiotic factor in an organism's habitat is blank. Abiotic factor in an organism's habitat is blank. A. Group of communities. B. A group of species. C. Something that is not alive. D. Something that is living or was once living. Okay, for number 3. Elephants, birds, and fishes are an example of blank. Elephants, birds, and fishes are an example of blank. A. Abiotic factor. B. Biotic factor. C. Ecosystem. And D. Population. Number 4. What are some biotic factors that affect a forest? What are some biotic factors that affect a forest? A. Water, soil, and air. Letter B. Coral, fish, and sand. Letter C. Temperature, precipitation, and wind. And letter D. Birds, insects, deer, grass, and trees. Okay, number 5. Woodlands composed mostly of all tall trees. Woodlands composed mostly of all tall trees. A. Coral reefs. B. Ecosystem. C. Mangroves. And letter D. Rainforest. Number 6. Trees that grow along the coast. Trees that grow along the coast. A. Coral reefs. B. Ecosystem. C. Mangroves. D. Rainforest. Number 7. The place where an organism lives that provides it with shelter, food, and water. The place where an organism lives that provides it with shelter, food, and water. A. Community. B. Habitat. C. Organism. D. Population. Number 8. Rocks, air, sunlight, water are the examples of blank. Rocks, air, sunlight, water are the examples of blank. A. Abiotic factor. B. Biotic factor. C. Species. And letter D. Microorganism. Okay, number 9 for the true or false. Okay, this is the question. Around 40% of the Earth's rainforest has been destroyed by human development. Right, true or false? Around 40% of the Earth's rainforest has been destroyed by human development. True or false? Okay, for the number 10, for the another true or false, here it is. People need to protect and conserve the ecosystem to help save the earth. People need to protect and conserve the ecosystem to help save the earth. True or false? Okay, you may now pass your paper. Pass it forward and give it to me. Okay, for your assignment for tomorrow, search and study on some issues about the importance of protecting and conserving the Earth's ecosystem. Make a summary based on your reading material. Prepare for an oral recitation on our next meeting. Okay, class, that's all for today. I hope that everyone had a lot of learnings and will apply it for your everyday lives. Thank you.